That feeling when we sit down to watch the season 5 premiere of Stranger Things is going to hit different, especially if this is the opening scene. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I've got a Stranger Things theory of sorts, more so my vision for something. I did this last week with the perfect ending for Stranger Things, and so I said, you know what? Let's do the opposite of that. Let's talk about the perfect opening for Stranger Things Season 5, because I feel like a lot of times the opening scenes or sequences of Stranger Things seasons go under the radar, especially if you look at Season 4. In retrospect, that scene was masterfully done. More on the openings of seasons later in this video, but when it comes to Season 5, we've been waiting and waiting for news, and so I said, you know what, I'm just going to take it upon myself to share my vision that I have in the moment for certain things. Last week, like I said, it was how I think the show could end perfectly. Now I'm going to talk about the opening scene. Before I get into this though, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below what you believe to be a perfect opening for Stranger Things Season 5. What do you want to see at the beginning of the season? And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. So before we talk Season 5's potential opening, let's talk about the openings of the first 4 seasons. Season 1 opens on November 6th, 1983, as we're in Hawkins' laboratory and we see a scientist running from something as there's flickering lights. It creates a horror atmosphere out the gate as there's this sense of tension, but ultimately the Demogorgon ends up getting this guy. All the while, our main group of OG kids are partaking in a D&D campaign at the Wheeler house. They're running out of time, they gotta head home for the night, and so as they part ways, Dustin and Will are riding their bikes down a hill, and obviously they part ways to go to their houses. A figure appears in the street though. Will gets knocked off his bike, he's on the run back to his house, no one seems to be home, and then he goes out back in the shed, loads up a gun, the lights flicker, and he disappears. Then we roll into Season 2. This is the opening with Callie. It's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, very off to start a season. Like, I felt like completely out of the blue for some reason. And this season just establishes there are other people out there with powers like 11. We see the 08 tattoo on her wrist, letting us know there are others that are going to be in this show. Fast forward to Season 3, and we've got the Russians. We see Smirnov for the first time this season, aka Alexei, and they are trying to open a gate. And then in Season 4, we get a flashback to a younger Brenner going into Hawkins National Laboratory where the massacre at Hawkins Lab ensues. However, when we first viewed the season, we didn't know what was actually happening, and so the way it was framed made it seem like 11 was responsible for killing everyone, when in reality, we would come to find that that was actually Vecna / Henry Creel / 01. Very masterfully done opening that creates mystery. It's a misdirect by the Duffers. Brilliant stuff. So when it comes to Season 5, the season that everyone watching this video and myself cannot wait for, what could the opening be? Well, I'm thinking they're going the Season 4 route, with sort of hitting us with a what moment, sort of a jaw-dropping, oh my gosh thing that restructures Stranger Things as we know it. And what we do know is that the opening lines of the script have been revealed. They were given to us on Stranger Things Day 2023, and here's what they say. Darkness, the sound of cold wind, groaning trees, and a child's voice singing a familiar song. So my takeaway here that I've had since we got this news is that we're going to open Season 5 with young Will in the Upside Down and a straight up good old-fashioned flashback. Season 4 opened with the flashback, so it would make sense they'd want to follow suit with that in Season 5. But what I would love is that we actually open the season with Will immediately entering the Upside Down. So the first, say, 5-ish minutes of this season are what happens right after Will goes to the Upside Down in Season 1, because we never actually saw that. We barely even see Will in the Upside Down in Season 1. It's all a big mystery. So we could see his experience in the Upside Down. We know for a fact they're going to be de-aging Noah Schnapp, as evidenced by the Ross Duffer photo dump pictures. So we could see some young Will early on. We also saw this shot of Will like falling next to a tree in the behind the scenes teaser, so that could be from the opening as well. But what I think would be a fascinating hook right before the Stranger Things intro plays is we got Will in the Upside Down. Maybe we see the Demogorgon again, but the end of this opening actually reveals Will coming face to face with Vecna, giving us a major twist out the gate that Will has come face to face with Vecna in the past. We know Vecna's been pulling the strings all along behind the scenes, but to see Will and Vecna come face to face back in 1983 would be nuts. What would be even crazier is, let's say Will has no recollection of this in the present timeline, so this would be like the audience gaining an upper hand of information that other characters do not possess. I imagine he's in the Upside Down. We see a figure off in the distance. We kind of zoom in, and then we hear Vecna deliver a line in his signature voice, and then he turns, locks eyes with Will, and boom, we roll the intro. We know that first episode is called The Crawl, so this could involve Will maneuvering his way through the Upside Down. I've got tons of other theories on that over the months months. But yeah, that's just one way I think they could open the season. But what follows is also a really important part of the immediate opening. So as the intro plays, we get the title card and the episode name. The Stranger Things theme, instead of fading out, actually starts to transition into the orchestral theme from the very end of season 4, the one that we hear at the end of season 4, Ep 9, the piggyback, when the main group of characters are on the hillside and they see the Upside Down sort of bleeding into Hawkins. That music ramps up and we actually pick up immediately where we left off. We can see the main group of characters ditching the hill, going into Hawkins to see what's up. And honestly, the first 15 minutes that follow that intro could take place in 1986, right after the events of season 4, where everyone's sort of gathering themselves. Maybe even we get like a big scene where they come face to face with some creatures from the Upside Down that have somehow gotten into Hawkins. Well, let's say that's the case, right? And they have this opening action scene or battle. They take care of business, and then they seemingly have defeated the Upside Down in their mind, right? So everything's gone dormant. There's still ruins of the Upside Down throughout Hawkins, maybe say some dormant vines and cracks in the ground, all that jazz, but there's nothing physically alive that's a threat, right? They think they've defeated it all and Vecna's no more for real this time. Then we could get a time jump to fall of 1987, which is when we know the majority of this season will take place, again, based on that episode title video we got on Stranger Things Day last year. This is kind of how I envision the season opening, but I would not be surprised if the Duffer said, no, we don't need to pick back up right after season 4. We can just, move on and say, hey, we're here in 1987. Because if we look at the seasons past, it's very rare. I don't think it's actually ever happened with season 2, 3, or 4 where we pick up like immediately where a season left off. There's always been a time jump to start the season. Sure, we could have a cold open that's set in a different time period or with other characters elsewhere, but we always come back to the time jump. It's not like we have some episode and then boom, we jump ahead. So I think that could be a first with season 5, with being the final season, to pick up on that hillside, kind of refresh people's brains if they forgot about what happened, and then boom, we jump ahead. I think that would be a fitting way to go about it for one final season, kind of switch it up a bit with the formula, because like I said, season 2, we've already jumped into the fall of 1984. Season 3, we're already in the summer of 1985. Season 4, we are in the spring of 1986. So we've never taken time with characters immediately where they left off and then done the time jump. So it'd be cool to switch that up and flip the script to go a little Cobra Kai on ya for this final season. So I think it'd be a really cool way to frame this season if we open with young Will de-aged in the Upside Down. He comes face to face with Vecna. It's like, oh my gosh, this relationship's gonna play a major role in season 5. Will and Vecna, 11's obviously gonna be thrown in that mix as well. But that sets up Will and Vecna's relationship, and maybe during the whole season, like I've theorized in videos past galore actually, I think that throughout this season, we're gonna have flashbacks to young Will in the Upside Down, and they're gonna parallel the current day Will. Sort of throughout the season, he's going to regain knowledge that he possessed but was kind of wiped from his brain, and he's going to put the pieces together and be a major part in taking down Vecna. I think that could be a really well shot, well done portion of season 5. But on top of that, we can't just have that and then boom, jump to 1987. To me, if we want to go perfect here, and this is just all fun and games, really, I'm not going to be mad if they don't do this. But we open there, we go into the Stranger Things intro, and then we pick up on that hillside, have a little bit of action there, and then boom, we jump ahead to 1987. It would be really impactful and felt, and I made a video a while back talking about how Stranger Things 5 could rip off Endgame. I don't think they will, but one of the similarities was Endgame opens right where we left off with Infinity War, and then boom, we have a time jump. So they could do that with Stranger Things 5, but again, would not shock me if the Duffers just go ahead and commit to that time jump out the gate. So that's just one vision I've had for how Stranger Things Season 5 could have the perfect opening. But let me know in the comments down below how you want Season 5 to open. What are your predictions? What do you want to see? There are endless possibilities here. I think we can all agree we're probably going to have a young Will flashback to start, but where do we go from there? Do we commit to that time jump out the gate? Do we spend some time back in, the aftermath of Season 4 before jumping ahead? I want to know what you think down below, and of course, hit that like button. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, and if you want extra content, I'm talking live streams, videos, reaction videos, all that, you can check out my Patreon. For $5 a month, I got some fun things going on over there. I'm reacting to X-Men 97. I got a Stranger Things series coming soon called Stranger Things Rewind. Basically, I'm going to go through every episode of Stranger Things, rewatch it, and then have sort of like a podcast discussion with my girlfriend Cam about the episode, where we talk about what could this mean for Season 5. We also just break down the episode. It'll be like a spoiler review of every episode of Stranger Things. That's going to start up here in the next week or so be on the lookout for that. I'll post more info on it on my community tab, but consider joining the Patreon community if you haven't. Lots of awesome things happening over there as we continue into 2025. But that does it. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. When I'm back in Hawkins, I feel it. And until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.